started. I have a lot I want to cover. So if you can in the chat, just also introduce yourself, where you're from. That'd be great. So I can just hear where you guys are from. I am from originally from Arizona. Right now I'm living in France, and it's pretty nice here. So I am Nicole Kang. I'm the co-founder of Elementary. My background is I used to be a STEM teacher, and then I used to be a English as a secondary language teacher. I was originally an MIT alum, so that's where I got my STEM background from. And my passions are literacy, coding, and games. A lot of my research was in educational games prior to me switching over and trying to create my own company. So I am on Twitter, and I'm also on Discord, since all you guys are on Discord right now. Oh, we have lots of people coming in. So I have a quick poll for you guys. If you can kind of just share a little bit about how familiar you are with publishing digital stories. That's the first question. And then the second question being, how familiar are you with coding and computational thinking? Then that'd be really great. And I can try to maybe answer some of those things. Okay, so we have people who are not familiar at all. That's fine. We're here to learn a little bit. We've done unplugged coding. Unplugged coding is great. I love unplugged coding. So the thing with unplugged coding is we can learn how to code without necessarily using a computer, because coding or computational thinking is being able to problem solve and take a big problem and break it down into smaller pieces that we can therefore figure out the sequence for, or figure out how to make the computer understand what we want them to do. Okay, so we have some people who are in some ebooks. All right, perfect. So I'm going to first show you a video. We're going to go through Elementary and how it kind of goes through all the different pillars of digital citizenship. But then I really want to take you into Elementary to show you how easy it is to create and code and therefore publish your stories. And most importantly, my goal is to really get students to create, because that is the way that we can engage students, is by allowing them to have a voice and to allow them to have an authentic audience for their work. So I'm going to go ahead and share this video. But basically, coded stories combine writing with computer science to create interactive digital storytelling experiences. And they usually feature something along the lines of animations, music, sounds, voiceovers, non-linear storytelling, and app and game-like experiences. And if any of you guys know about like choose your own adventure stories, those type of books, or maybe played some games that are kind of choose your own adventure, like maybe Pokemon or Minecraft or Stardew Valley. I saw some people were playing that on Discord. So these types of gaming or reading experiences are really fun because they allow the reader to make choices and therefore impact the storytelling experience. So yeah, the books are really great, and I'll take you through about how you can create, but you notice we can make our little dragonfly. We can add voiceovers to stories on Elementary, and don't worry, we'll take a look at stories created on Elementary. And I also have homework for you guys, which is we have a quick escape room game that you guys can play at the very end of this session. So the point is that when we publish a story, or really anything, we want it to be public. So that's the whole point of the internet, right? We're not going to write something so that me, myself, and I only can read it and enjoy it. The whole point is so that we can have a larger audience to read and enjoy it. And I think kids really benefit from that, especially because we want to find meaning in what we do. And it's really hard to find meaning in what you do when, you know, you're sitting at school all day, 8 hours per day, you know, 5 days a week, in a little like cell, or even in your own room, if we're not interacting with other people. Because how we find meaning oftentimes is when we develop a relationship with another person. And that doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, me and you are friends. It could just mean that, oh, I know someone, I don't even know who they are, but they appreciate my work. They think that what I do is cool. And that really means a great big deal for kiddos and for us as adults as well, I think. So for those of you who maybe have some digital publishing or digital creation experience, please share with us kind of like what kind of things you've done, maybe, you know, using different platforms. I know like Buncee is really popular, for example, or like Book Creator, or even maybe Google Slides. What have you kind of done to kind of engage your students? I'm sure a lot of people would be very interested in knowing. So this is Irene, who's really interested in visual novel games. So visual novels are really cool. It's a subgenre of video games that feature usually anime style characters, and you make choices and affect the ending. Choose your own adventure on Google Slides. Nice. Book creator, very cool. Okay, so we kind of know a little bit about the 5 pillars of digital citizenship. We're supposed to be doing something regarding digital citizenship. So I'm going to try to take like our student created stories and link them to why it's really important that students create in order to practice and demonstrate their understanding of these different pillars of digital citizenship. And when I was actually creating these slides, I noticed that within digital citizenship, there's actually a lot of like parallels with social emotional learning with some of the pillars of digital citizenship with SEL. So one of the things that when we're doing with anything with digital publishing is we have to be, ethically responsible. We have to be safe. And digital publishing means that it's public. So this is a great time when you go with your students and you discuss what that means. Like, what choices should I make to be a good digital citizen? Oh, it's too long. What consequences will publishing this story have on myself and others? And what are the legal and ethical reasons to give credit? So on elementary, I'll take you through the website, but basically as an individual teacher, you can create a classroom for your students, and this allows you to have a pretty safe environment for your students. So any stories that are to be published need to be approved of by you in order to be published publicly. So we have some methods and I guess safety nets in place to still allow students to publish publicly, but still have that teacher control. So auto-crediting is another thing that is on elementary. Basically, when you publish a story, all of the artwork, all the artists whose artwork you've used or music and sound effects that you have used by professional artists will be automatically credited. And in some cases, you might want to use a template and remix it to continue your own story or create your own game. So I have a template that I'm going to share with you for creating an escape room that you can use. And basically when you publish using this template, I will get credit as the original source of this template. So that's something that's built into elementary. So we're going to take a look at engage, and I think engage is definitely the easiest point because when we are creating stories online, either through writing, through coding, through whatever, we are allowing students to share more about themselves and to build up their digital footprint. Yeah, so once again, these are the hashtags we can use, like use tech for good. What we want to do is we want to focus on student voice. And so this doesn't have to be with just, digital storytelling. What are maybe some activities that you've done to enable student voice? I see Jason was using Storyboard. Storyboard's pretty cool. They have really good artwork, but they're really expensive now. It's pretty crazy. So activities you've done to enable student voice. Some people like podcasting. I really like podcasting. I have an idea, which is comic podcasting. I'll show you that on elementary in a little bit, which could be really good for high school students. So the main thing is with student voice, coded stories enable students to creatively express themselves in multiple ways. And that can be through text. So you could create paragraphs and write an entire game using just pure text. That's fine. You can have images, you can mix them, create a comic. You can record voiceovers. So you can do what I call comic podcasting, which is when we have a comic strip, but we have more of the podcasting elements behind it, where the dialogue of the voiceover is much more than, the one sentence that appears on the page. And then we can have sounds, music, and animations. And I like to bring in sounds, music, and animations because there are some students that actually don't like writing, but will write on elementary simply because they like to add sounds or animations on their page. They're the type of students who really enjoy the coding, and the coding is what brings them into the writing sphere. And it's a similar vice versa. You have some students who might not like coding. They might think coding is for nerds. Only nerds code. I'm not a nerd. I don't like to code. But they are like storytellers. They have stories that they want to share about the new girl in school drama. And in order to create their multiple endings, they'll learn how to code that way. So I have a lot to say about inclusion, and mostly it's because when we're talking about digital stories or just storytelling in general, we're talking about mostly our stories or stories of people around us and sharing those stories. And being able to read each other's stories and share each other's stories is really important to build empathy, to appreciate diversity, and to respect others. If we are able to feel like this person is our friend, we're not likely to make our friend feel terrible, right? So that's the basic thing. Nerd defined equals intellectual rock star. I like that sign. I want a sign like that. So, so I actually made these slides for SEL, and I just kept them because a lot of what I have to say about the SEL parallels a lot of the stuff with the inclusion. So digital stories, the great thing about them is we can read them anytime. They're online. I can go and read it anytime, anywhere. People across the globe can read it. You can find a buddy classroom from the other side of the world to write stories to each other. It's really great. So the other thing, this is more for like classroom features. You could do like, peer feedback, peer reflection to improve your writing process. And I really emphasize the writing process because I feel like a lot of students I work with, at least now, really struggle with writing. Like they can speak just fine, but writing is
Okay.
sometimes really, really, really challenging for them. I work with a 5th grade class where it's really difficult for them to even write a complete sentence. So we're just trying to find ways to make it more interesting for them.
Okay, in the chat, let's do this. Since we just have a few minutes, we don't have a lot of time. Put, what do you remember? And I love Destiny Gutierrez. Destiny,
Wait,
what's the name of our library program? Oh, actually, well,
hold on.
how many of you know the name of our library
I
program?
think
I
we have
kind of just
someone
gave you.
who's
No,
unmuted.
not the library program.
I don't have, oh, thank you. I was like, wait a minute, I'm confused for a second.
I'm sorry, Nicole.
No problem. I was just very confused for a second. No problem. So, so we, especially librarians, I love how a lot of librarians now are embracing, reading diverse stories and reading from diverse authors. I think that is absolutely great, and I applaud all those efforts. And so how can we get our students to also write from their diverse perspectives? Because usually in our classroom, we have a diverse audience. It doesn't necessarily have to be, it could be from anything from skin color to experiences to where you're from. And it's really important that we are able to share that and share our voices and know that us as students or as whoever are able to share our voices to a wider audience. So I like to encourage students to write stories from also not just themselves, but also to write from a diverse perspective. So one thing that is really popular is, having them interview someone. Maybe you can interview your grandma. Maybe you can interview someone for their for careers, especially now with Zoom, it's so easy to just find someone and have an interview to try to understand what it's like in their shoes, and then try to explain that to the rest of the world. And I think that offers a lot of educational value for students. And so the other thing is then writing to a diverse audience. So when we write, unless we're journaling, we're writing for someone. So it could be, for your teacher, which is what is most likely the case when you're a student, but better yet, you can write for other people. So really great ideas are like, you can write for a senior home. So we had, people who made cards for seniors. Or if you are working with older kids, you can write stories for younger students. So one example of this is I was working with a couple high school teachers, and they were writing children's books for I think it was grade K-2 classrooms, and they were using elementary to record their voiceovers so that kids can listen and read at the same time. And so that way they can learn what, first of all, audience is, when you're writing, what's the importance of audience, what's the importance of tone, all these great literary devices that are really necessary for, English, and you can apply that in an authentic way, and people actually read it. So So there's actually quite a lot of really good podcasting platforms that are free, because GarageBand, the thing with that is you need to have iOS devices. So I think someone else can help you with that, or I could dig it up, but there's definitely podcasting things for just online. As long as you have an internet connection, you can podcast. Okay, so diverse audience is great. And so the thing is, when you create a story on elementary and you publish it, if you create it within your classroom, you can have your students comment on each other's stories. And that's a really great opportunity for students to participate in a responsible and respectful manner as both the creator, but also the audience. So things that we as educators should always think about is like, what is comment etiquette? Like, how can we make a good comment? What is a good comment? And what are the benefits of a good comment or a constructive comment, and reflecting upon the impact of what our comments are. Because I think when you become a creator, you really realize the impact that comments can have. You don't necessarily know that if you don't create. You're just like, oh, I could just comment and whatever, it doesn't really matter. But once it's your story or your video or whatever, then when someone says anything, you're like, oh my God, they said something about what I did. And then you take it really like in a different way than if you were to just be, you know, a little backseater audience. So I think it's really important that we comment. We teach students how to comment respectfully and how to get comments back. And once like I said, that's integrated within elementary. You can comment on stories, but within a classroom, it is private to the classroom, and that's for privacy and safety. So that's available. Okay, so informed. Okay, I'm just going through these like bing, bam, boom. Am I good at time? Yes. So informed. So as librarians or educators, we're all talking about, oh my God, we have to stay informed. We have to make sure that we don't give out fake news and all that. We have to have the validity and accuracy of the information that we're getting. You guys know better than me, so I'm just going to talk about kind of how we can maybe get students to take that perspective of being informed. So of course you can do the thing of, oh, is this a fake website, or is this a fake website? What are some things that we know that this is a fake website? But what I like to do is I like to think of writing as something as with a person. And as long as you have any piece of writing, you have a person behind that writing. And as long as we understand that there's a person behind that writing, that means there's a bias behind every piece of writing. So digital stories don't have to be just fiction. We can use stories to create informative apps and games and stories and whatever. And the thing is, students can then practice evaluating their work and each other's work for any potential biases. So written pieces come from people. What biases might there be? So I actually come from a research background, and oftentimes we see research as kind of like, as long as it's from research, it must be great. And that's not necessarily the case, because in research, you have good research and you're like not so good research. Not so good research being stuff that's just published for the sake of, you know, college rankings, and it's not necessarily peer reviewed or reviewed at all. So we have to always take whatever we read with a grain of salt, because there's someone behind it and what's their interest in writing this piece. So balanced. Okay, so when we talk about balance, I'm not going to talk too much about this because it doesn't necessarily have to reflect too much with what I do, but I do want to take a little bit of time to just emphasize that when you write anything, I always like students to write on pencil and paper before they go onto their digital products for coding. So having students work on writing their draft using pencil and paper really helps them formulate their ideas, I think. And it also improves writing outcomes, generally speaking, and they can also feel free to explore different locations if possible. I know flexible seating is a really big thing, and I love flexible seating for that purpose. And yeah, that's the main thing. And I want to also take a little bit of time to talk about, when we talk about balance, we talk about balance from an offline, online perspective, but I kind of want to think about balance as being like with active online and passive online experiences perspective. So whenever we're creating anything, students are actively engaged in what they are doing. They are putting in a lot of effort. And as long as they're doing that, I think it's pretty good in my book. So it's not like watching a YouTube video of cats or anything. So, okay, so did I finish everything? Yes. So the reason why I wanted to blitz through everything is because I want to take you actually through elementary and show you how easy it is to create and to code. Okay. So like pull up your computers. I'm going to put in the chat elementary.io. You can create an account for free. You can follow along with me. But basically, when you create an account on elementary, you'll see something like this as a regular user. If you're a student, it looks different. So don't worry too much about that. But as a regular user, it looks something like this. I'm going to click on the right button in the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to just take you through creating on elementary and seeing what you can do with it. And then we'll take a look at some student product examples, and then I'll send you home with the escape room that we made really quickly. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on write a brand new story. If you have any questions, type it in the chat. I'm going to just go up and there. So there's probably going to be a tutorial. Yes, you'll have to create an account first in order to create. You could just watch me if you want and then help me out with mine. But you'll probably see like how to animate this dragon at the very beginning. You can just cancel out of there if you want, or you can start the tutorial. It doesn't really matter too much. But when you take a look at elementary, it looks pretty similar to like Google Slides or PowerPoint or any sort of PowerPoint presentation software. You have your slides on the left, you have your main slide here. You could just say, this is my awesome title, and you could say like, by Nicole. And you could go ahead and, find all the font you want, make it super curly, up to you. I notice a lot of my students like to have really, really difficult to read font. I don't know if that's just because they know that I won't look at it as closely if it's difficult to read. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the right-hand sidebar really quick. So the first one is text. You can add text to the page. You can add different speech bubbles like so. So you could create comics. It's pretty fun. And text is pretty easy. Now images. Images is really cool. We have about 16,000 professional illustrations and sounds. If I hover over it, I can see who the artist is, and it's just pretty awesome. So I know someone said something about visual novels. So visual novel, we have a lot of anime style characters. Yes, you can get started for free. And the only limitation is you have limited illustrations, limited sounds on the free account. And basically you don't have access to student feedback and student analytics. That's for the premium. So, but otherwise you can code and write for free and publish for free. Like you'll just have less to choose from the images. Yeah, so if you like a particular artist, you could say, I like Yusui, this dude, and then you can search for that artist and find him. So let's take a look at some of these anime characters. Okay, I like this like witch girl. Let's go with this witch girl. She's cute. So you have different, expressions, make her angry, make her happy. Doesn't really matter too much. And I'm going to go ahead and say, boom. And same thing with the backgrounds. I can go and find different backgrounds. Yeah, great question, Cassie. So yes, it does work on Chromebooks. It works on iPads. It works on tablets. You can import your own images only for the pro accounts. So premium, you can import. Free, you cannot. Yes, the kids really like the anime style. They're really big fans, especially middle school. Middle school like goes crazy for the anime style characters. Okay, so I was finding a background before I got distracted. So I'm gonna find like a witch. Let's see if I have a witch, something that looks witchy. There we go. Okay, so we have some witchy looking things, and this is pretty cool. I like it. So you're probably asking me like, hey, I'm in this session. You said something about coding. I didn't hear anything about coding just yet. What's going on? So in order to code, we have to go to the event graph side on elementary, and you can click on the event graph and flip it to the back. So I have a question is, can you type in Chinese characters? Yes, you could type in Chinese characters. You can type in any character. You can add emojis to your text. All of that is supported. So as long as you can type it somewhere, I think it works. So let's go ahead and get my title. And what I like to do with my title is I like to have a nice text effect animation. So to take you through kind of the right-hand sidebar for people who are new to coding, we use a lot of coding vocabulary. So functions basically are actions. They tell the computer what action to do. We could think of them a lot like action verbs. Okay, and so yeah, if you want to switch between the front and the back, you click the button at the top, layout design or event graph, and it switches to the front and the back. So the back side is where we code, the front side is where we design. So let's go back to the back. Okay, so functions are our actions, action verbs. They tell the computer what to do. They give the commands to the computer. Yep, like front end, back end, exactly. That's kind of what we, some of our inspiration. I am a back end designer mostly. I guess designer is not really the right term, back end engineer. Okay, so I have a function, I have I need an event. So no matter what, I need an event. So events tell us when we want to do our code. So no matter what, we always need an event. If we don't have an event, nothing will run, like nothing. So events are always orange, and the popular one is on page start. So on page start is our event. So when do we want our animation to play? We want our animation to play on page start. Okay, so I have 3 blocks here. And if you're familiar with maybe like code.org or Scratch, you're probably like, this is not something that I'm familiar with. And that's because this is called node-based visual programming. So there's this one misconception that visual programming is just for babies. Like real programming is JavaScript and Python and HTML and CSS. That is false. That is completely false. I can tell you that as a software engineer, that is false. So what is important is understanding computational thinking. Okay, so node-based visual programming is used in the real world. You're like, okay, so what is it used in? Okay, so this is where you could get kids really excited. You could be like, hey kids, you know Fortnite? Have you heard of Fortnite? Have you heard of Rocket League? You heard of those games before? Well, those games are developed on a software called Unreal Engine, and Unreal Engine has a visual coding environment inside their software as well. So the second thing for maybe adults, you might be like, oh, maybe you guys don't play games. Okay, that's fair enough. Have you guys watched movies like, what is it? Lord of the Rings? Have you watched series like, what's the other one called? The Game of Thrones. So you know those big battle sequences that have thousands of people in them and they're like battling each other. So that's not real people. That's all computer generated people. And the computer generated people, the animations use node-based visual programming. So just oh, hopefully you learned something today. So yep. So it's like flow charts, like Lewis said. It is exactly like flow charts. It's also called flowchart based programming. There's different words for it, all mean the same thing. We connect nodes together. So notice I have a white triangle here and I can drag it around. Where do you think I connect my white triangle? The other white triangle, congratulations. Woohoo! Okay, so what about this purple circle? Where do I connect the purple circle to? The pink square? Not quite. The other purple circle. Congratulations. We all graduated 2nd grade. I'm proud of you guys. Okay, so we match the colors to each other and the shapes to each other. Okay, so by default, it's typewriter and it's medium. So let's just check out what that looks like. And I'm going to click on preview and let's take a look. This is my awesome title. And now we have a really awesome text effect. So some kids like the fade, and you can change it to faster or slower, the speed. So let's take a look at that and see what it looks like. This is my awesome title. Okay. So for those of you who are familiar with coding, the next step would be to sequence. So we have a nice animation. This will get kids really excited. Generally, I would say if 2nd graders have help, they can get a simple like event, function, object done by themselves. The popular one is the dragon, like I said, to make the dragon fly. We can take a look at how that works a little bit later. But the next step is maybe I want to sequence my functions. Maybe I want to fade in my title and then fade in by Nicole afterwards. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and grab a function called fade. And what am I fading? What object am I fading? I'm going to go to objects, and you have all the objects here. They're all beautiful. I'm going to fade in by Nicole. So we want green is functions. So green ones are the functions. They tell the computer what action to do. The purple ones are our objects. They're what are we moving or doing or clicking on. And the orange ones are our events. They tell us when we want all of our code to work. So now here's a challenge. Okay, so I have a white triangle here, but I have two places I can connect it to. I have 1 and I have 2. So type in chat 1 or 2. Where do you think I connect it? If I want it after this is my awesome title. Oh, I see a lot of spam of 2. Good job, guys. Okay, so, and my purple circle goes to the purple circle. So let's take a look at what it looks like. This is my awesome title by Nicole. There we go. And then the next step would be, you could add music. So we took a look at backgrounds, and right underneath backgrounds is sounds. So here we can add all of our background music, sound effects. You could record a voiceover as well. So voiceover is free. So you can record voiceovers for all stories. That is a free feature and highly recommended to make sure that students can record themselves and hopefully correct their writing as well. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to share my sound with you guys, and let's find, like, I don't know, some new land. Oh, that's really loud for me. Let's go ahead and grab this. Okay, so it sounds pretty epic. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my music block. Okay, so now our code is getting a little bit complex. We have a lot of like blocks on this page, but let's take it step by step. Let's think, when do I want my music to play? Do I want my music to play when the page starts? Do I want my music to play after everything? When? Type it in the chat. When do you want the music to play? And while you do that, I'm going to select my music. So it's important to select my music. Okay, so we want it to go on page start. So if we want on page start, we just connect it to the on page start block. So what you've actually done right now, or done together with me, is we've now done functions in parallel. And that means functions occurring at the same time. So you just did a kind of higher level coding concept without really knowing that you were coding that. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what it sounds like and looks like. Okay, I like it. I like it. Okay, so you can add more pages. So let me just take you through this really quickly. You have different pages here that you could just add. If you want a template, you can click on the little drop down arrow thingy here, and you can choose from one of these templates here. So let's say I want, visual novels kind of like this sort of layout where you have the narration on the bottom and the characters appearing above. You can also duplicate the selected page. This is useful if you have kind of like the same scene over and over again, or if you have a quiz question and you want to ask different questions but have the same, template and the code. So it also copies the code if that's there. Okay, so I'm going to go to the second page, and I want to take you through animations before I move on, because I think this is really cool and some people don't see all the features. So with animations, there's a boy and the girl at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the girl. And so this girl, she's kind of cute, but what makes her really cool is we can customize her. And same with the boy, but I'm going to get the girl because I'm a girl and I like girls. There we go. So I can click on this customize button here, customize. And here I can choose clothing. So I could be like, oh, it's kind of cold where I am. So let's give her a purple jacket. Yeah, we'll keep the same skin tone. Seems cute, but she needs different hair. I don't like her hair. And I could go through and like choose like a nice hair. Let's say, oh, we can make her punk-like. Let's give her brown hair because she's cute. And then I want bigger eyes because I'm a big anime fan. And there we go. There we go. She looks adorable. Okay, so this is like that. Yeah, so I have a question, which was, do I have any YouTube videos? And yes, we have a YouTube channel. Something that you guys might want to also take a note of is I do free weekly coding clubs with kids on Saturdays. That is open to the public. That means anyone can join in. I do gear it for kids. I have a session that's for storytelling coders. That's for grades like 2-ish, 3-ish to 5. And then I have another one that's grades 5 and up. That's narrative game design. And we cover things like variables to create actual like game like experiences. So what I'm showing you is just kind of like fun, but this is more geared for like beginners and everyone. Yes, I'll put the link in the, let's see if I can find it. I'll also put it in the session thing. I started putting resources in before this, but I was eating since I'm in France and I had another PD session earlier and I was like, I'm hungry. Okay, so on page start, this girl. So this girl is an animation object. There's not that many of them because we don't have enough money to fund a lot of these, but at some point, hopefully we'll have more. So animation objects are special because they can go with the animate block. Only animation objects can connect to the animate block. If I go ahead and grab a text, it won't connect. It just won't because only animation objects can connect. Okay, so I have a white triangle here connected to the white triangle, purple circle to purple circle, okay? And when I click on this little dropdown, it says none right now. I have a whole bunch of options. So each animation object has different options. The dragon can only fly. This girl can talk. So let's make her talk. And let's preview now and see what happens. So now she's talking, and then you can imagine you could record a voiceover over it, or you can add a speech bubble. You know, there's a lot of things you can do. And so this is something that kids really like. And I see this used a lot for their core classes, actually, which I think is really cool because we're bringing in coding into the core curriculum. So writing across the curriculum, coding across the curriculum, pretty awesome in my book. So then you could go ahead and give different speech bubbles like that. And say, thank you, everyone. Okay, so how am I on time? I have 13 minutes left, and I do want to share with you a couple of things. So first, Daniel, he's gonna unmute himself and talk because Daniel is a superstar. I'm working with Daniel to create, we're working on a series of escape room videos. So let me just let Daniel introduce himself because he's really awesome. And how do can I just stop the share? There we go. Let him introduce himself for a little bit and we'll move on to the next thing.
Can I also share screen? Is it okay? Do I have
share screen.
So, hi everyone, my name is Daniel and I'm from Tel Aviv. And a few months ago, I reached out to Nicole and I discovered the amazing platform of Elementary. In the last 4 years, I have been working in everything that is connected to escape rooms. I will just want to show you something. Let's see. Working. Okay. So, So I am the founder of Custom Quest with a few partners that we are particularly working about adventure-based learning activities from portable ones to online escape rooms, and we specialize in dedicated tailor-made quests and puzzles. And Nicole is talking with one kind of class, and I would like to talk a little bit about the higher classes, because this is where my experience is coming from. But first of all, I want to show you our 3 principles and to show you how is it all connect to elementary and to everything that's going on around the world today. So let's start. So as you can see, just a second. Yeah, I am working with the high schools mostly, but right now it's going to be also with the lower grade for sure. So we have our adventure-based learning principles, and this time I want to talk about another things about students that what they can create, because escape room is not all about just the riddles and what you can do with them, and if you do it digitally, and if it's cool that we did an escape room about some topic and we want to take it for the next level. And I want to talk today about the active learning, about the discussion after the activity, because this is something that is very important and sometimes we don't have enough time for it. And when you have a digital escape room, it's something that can work really good. So I will give a good example from something that happened last year. And in this grade 10, I will explain you what happened and how it changed the way that I deal with escape rooms today, educational ones. So my students decide that they want to have riddles on main topic, something that after the activity, people will still gonna talk about, something that will be part of what they want to say or what they want to try to do. So they decided that their topic as a grade 10 will be women empowerment in 2020. So I just want to show. Oh, so they decided to make an escape room and call it a room of your own. And by the book, yeah, it was a really cool topic, and they chose it alone. I did not, gave them any ideas. We talked about what we want to do and how we want to create and how we want to involve. But they want to do something more than that. They want to know in this escape room. I will send links later, guys. Okay. They wanted to do something that will be a little bit changed, and we start talking and doing the brainstormings. And of course, we want to show how we have some women that change the world, and we have a lot of the difference relation. It can be a very, very delicate and sensitive topic. But then we talked about something else, and using their own words, they want to do something that they literally can see in the streets. And a very simple search online. Yeah, of course. A very small search online showed them something really interesting that they found in Tel Aviv of 2020, and I want to show you this. So this is a list in 2020 of new streets named after personas that made a positive impact in Israel. So you have the list, of course, it's in Hebrew, but you can see that this list of the from the 2020 have different personas and how they change, and there are like a lot of people there that most of us people that grow up here know. Okay, but I want to ask you a question. How many of those people that you see here, and you cannot know it, but you can guess, how many of them do you think are women? How many women are in this list of 93 new streets named after it? Someone say 0. Guess. 3, 4, another 0. Wow, we have a lot of optimism, pessimistic people here today. 0. Okay. 2020, 2.5. Wow, 2.5 is nice. 40, half. Okay. Wow, so we have a lot of answers, and I will just say that the right answer was 6. Okay, only 6. And we talked about it. And do you think those 6 is because this is the only people you have in all of the history of Tel Aviv? Only 6 women that did any change? Yeah, it's better than 0, I agree, but only 6 out of 93. So my students were outrageous about it, and they tried to do something that can make it better. And this was something that we discovered. You can read about the history, about different stuff and what happened and how it changed. But when you see something like that, this is our real life. And how can it really be related to escape room? So we decided that we want to make a riddle out of it. And the idea that went up is that we're gonna make out of it, and this is what the participants decide to make. And just a second. Trying to, oh, so you have here a chessboard that they made, okay? And what they try to do in this chessboard is to make a riddle that you have to solve by the player have to cross a board only on the squares that have named after women. Now we only have the last name here, so you don't know if it's a male or he or she, a male or a female, but you do find the other list that you just saw. So one of the active in the escape room was basically find the list and then to understand in this chessboard how many of them are women. Now, solving this riddle, taking them maybe a few minutes, but the conversation on, on this riddle, and I want to show you how it works like this, the conversation that we have on this riddle Now, basically what you have to do, if it was like a real one, you would have just go and try to do it with a lock that work about different direction. In the digital version, you just have to press on the right one. You start with the one that is next to the symbol, and then you go up all the way to cross all of the board. Okay, so as I said, maybe this is only take a few minutes, but the discussion that arrived after the learning, after what everything happened, how was it? People couldn't stop talking about this particular riddle. And many students say that they didn't really understand what they call the big drama about the names, but until they saw the board probably changed some of their way of mind. And this was something that, until today, students are sharing, even that we didn't have the same grade again, they're still playing, they're still doing this game. And the way of how an escape room can affect that something so simple from reality. Now, they decided in the end to, a big perspective in that. They decided in the end to send a petition of the school to the Tel Aviv city and to talk with them. And after that, because it's life and we don't know what really is going to happen, COVID-19 basically starts. So we didn't get any answer yet from the Tel Aviv city, but it just was one of the riddles. And this is something that is really important to understand. It's not only about the escape room. Yeah, of course, it's a start. It's even creating the escape room is already a journey. And what I like when I started to work in it and understand how do I can convert it into digital, I found myself, searching in the internet a lot, and then I saw elementary, and seeing that it can also be good for higher grades, also that they can do something that is um, take it to the next level was something very, very excited for me. Because you have escape rooms and you have what you do with the educational escape room, and the value that come after is something that is very important. So this is why the next thing that we're going to work about in 2021 with different kinds of grade. It can be 4th grade, and it can be even 10th grade, is about facts and opinions. And we already have the elementary link, and I would like to say to Nicole, thank you, and that I like to work with her. And you want to proceed? You want to show them the homework that we're going to give them? Nicole?
Okay, I'm not muted anymore.
Yeah. I was just saying that I just present them and talking about that in 2021 we're gonna do a lot of stuff that about facts and opinions, because this is the subject that has been chosen here in Tel Aviv, and we're gonna do like maybe digital escape rooms, or of course you probably all know it, and it's a very big topic. And Nicole, we're gonna show you. Let's give them homework of something a little bit different from the higher classes to the lower classes.
Yeah, so I didn't cover it, but we have variables. So you can create things that include variables and ask the reader for their name. So we can say, okay, my name is, I don't know, my name is, let's type in something. Let's say it's Kelly. And my favorite food is, I don't know, Kelly, what's your favorite food? Ice cream? And I'm from, I don't know, we'll say California. Oh dear, Kelly. So you notice now Kelly is in the story. We like guacamole. I love guacamole. I'm originally from Arizona. Oh, I miss Mexican food so much. So if I click on this, I go to a page with different images. And being a kiddo, I could just be like, I'm going to click on everything because I can. What happens when I click on everything?
They have to. Always.
Yeah, you always have to click on everything. Okay, so see if you can figure it out. So this is one example. I heard I could go over a little bit with time, so I do want to show you some student examples while you guys play with that escape room. And this is created by a 6th grader, which I think is absolutely amazing. She was in my coding clubs. So those are open to anybody, anytime. It's drop-in basis if it's not that big of a deal if you haven't come before. So It's just we usually start the story at the month. So if we do a big project like we are doing this month, we'll start the brainstorming of the setting, the characters, what's this gonna be about in the first one. So we have, hey, Nicole. Okay, so you could vote 1 or 2, put it in the chat. Do you say, who's Nicole, or, oh, you're talking to me? Type 1 or 2 in the chat. 1, 2. 2. Okay, 2. Okay, we'll go with 2. Okay, so Q2, let's go. Wait, what do you mean? Oh, I get it. Haha, very funny. Okay, 1 or 2 in the chat. I don't get it, or wait, I'm not. Okay, you're saying wait. Okay, Q3. Let's see if I could type Q3. Okay. Oh my gosh, what's your problem? You said we were friends. What happens if I say I don't remember you, or anything else for that matter? Or wait, please, I'm serious. Like I said, 6th grade drama. Okay, seems like it's 1. Okay, so Q4. So you're not joking? Do you really not remember anything? That's what I've been saying. Or yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Okay, I think it's 1. Oh, geez, I'm sorry, Nicole. I didn't realize you were for real. I'm Addison. You always called me Addie, though. It's all right, Addie, or I can't believe you treat anyone like that for making a joke, especially if it's actually a joke. We're not friends. I'm out. Oh, we're all nice to Addie. Okay, so then if you choose that to be nice to Addie, you stay friends. So this is the end of day 1. And so Supernova, in this story, she has like 3 other characters that you meet, and with all sorts of different types of conversations. And these are just some other examples students can make. So this is really fun. The kids really like playing it. The younger kids really like playing the stories written by older kids, even though it might not be perfect. You know, they really like knowing that it's just kids like them making it. I think it's really important that it's not some like, you know, big ginormous publishing company that nobody ever heard about. It's people that are like me, and we can make it. And so it makes it feel relatable, and they feel like, oh, I can make it too. So it's really great seeing the journey, because each story that's published gets added to your profile. So you could kind of see your digital footprint as you move forward. And there you go. So yeah, Amnesia is a big classic. Amnesia. You also have The New Girl at School. That's a big classic too. For the boys, it's always a battle. So you have little text, lots of animation, and lots of saying, yeah, fight. So yes, Joy brings up a very big point, which is how long does it take? So it all depends upon the writing skills, I think. Students that struggle with writing will obviously take a long time to write. And that's why I do recommend that they start with storyboarding or with writing on pencil and paper, just so that they can figure everything out. I also recommend using, if you're doing a choose your own adventure, use notepads or like sticky notes in order to write down all of your pages, so you can see how they branch if you want to do multiple endings, since that's really effective. So we see, I have choose your own adventure starting as young as 3rd grade. Of course, you're not going to have as intense dialogues or narration. It might just be like, which way do you choose? To the forest or to the lake? To the forest. But they're really happy with that. Or you might have like Princess Simulator. That's what I've seen also. Which way do you go to become a good princess? But then for high school students, obviously you could create really interesting things that are tied directly to your core curriculum. So we also have a library who's made pretty cool escape rooms as well. I'll also put that in the chat, but like Chat Library has like Escape from Poe Palace that they made. So can you upload a read aloud from YouTube onto one of the animations? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking by that question. Like, can you put a video inside elementary, or can you make a video of elementary? So no, you can't put videos inside. And that's kind of because we want to stay away from kids' faces or just faces in general, and focus on storytelling process. I think a lot of kids focus a lot on like creating videos because it's very accessible. It's really easy. You just turn on your phone, create a video. But like we want to really focus on writing, because I think that writing allows students to really delve deep into not only themselves, but also their thought process, which is really essential for them as just people and us as people. So writing is really crucial. And we want to stay away from video for that part. Yeah. It's just a choice, not really a technical constraint. But yeah, I think that ends our session. So thank you so much. I'm gonna put links in the session here. I started it, so I'll put more of the links there so you can see it in the session description. So that's it from me. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole and Daniel. Appreciated your time and expertise.